What's up, guys? Spenny. That sound that you hear way off in the distance that is oh so very rare, wonderful, is the sound of Republicans in Texas growing some testicular fortitude and actually signing arrest warrants for the insurrectionist Democrats who fled their state like cowards in order to try and block Republican legislation. I thought this is every bit an insurrection. Governor Abbott orders Texas Department of Public Safety to arrest delinquent House Democrats. This from the governor of Texas's webpage. I couldn't believe it myself, but it actually happened. Here's the Texas House passing the motion to arrest Democrats who fled their state.
Motion prevails. The sergeant at arms and any officers appointed by her are directed to send for all absentees whose attendance is not excused for the purposes of securing and maintaining their attendance under warrant of arrest if necessary until further order of the House.
Well, there you go. Ladies and gentlemen, Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of Texas, says runaway Texas Democrats should be hunted down and arrested immediately. Boy, it'd be nice to see. Let's go ahead and check, see what he has up on X. Ken Paxton is spectacular law enforcement individual. Many people were saying, hey, maybe he should be the next Attorney General. He's very based. Jet-setting runaways abandoned Texas, sacrificed their constituents, publicity stunt. It's imperative that they be swiftly arrested, punished, and face the full force of the law. Ken Paxton released a statement regarding rogue Democrat lawmakers to break quorum, saying that, it's time to drop some absolute heat. But we'll see what happens. Will you be able to enforce an arrest warrant in a blue city, in a sanctuary city, literally a sanctuary city for Democrats? Not sure. We had Ken Paxton on the show this morning, and we were able to ask the man himself. We were also able to ask about this, something very, very curious, the flight. Democrats use this very expensive private jet in order to zip themselves all around the country, get to Chicago. This is a massive private jet. It's $47 million. It costs up to $17,000 per hour to operate. The flight to Chicago may well have cost $100,000 in order to get this jet up and out. And so who's paying for this exactly? So they're paying that you can just pay. Some billionaire can come in and you can just pay to send every Democrat or Republican out of a state and destroy their ability to pass laws or enforce laws. It's crazy. Like, who could do what? An insane system. We asked Ken Paxton about this, ladies and gentlemen. The answers were very interesting. Here we go. Attorney General, thank you so much for being on the program.
Glad to be here.
So here we go. Texas, back at it again. In the news, we did a little bit of reporting here, and I wanted to just start off the top and show the plane, please. Show the plane. There's this really expensive plane, Mr. Attorney General, that Texas Democrats used. It's up on screen right now. It's a $47 million jet that they fled from. It cost $17,000 per hour. That's nearly $100,000 to get from Dallas to Chicago. Now, they were dumb enough to take all these selfies on their private jet. Who's paying for this? Is somebody funding an insurrection in Texas, Mr. Attorney General?
We don't know. It certainly looks like it. And either way, we want to know how it's going to be paid for. They're going to have to report this at some point on their campaign finance reports. And during session, typically you're not allowed to take contributions. We're in a special session, so they can take contributions, but they're going to have to report it, and we'll know exactly who gave the plane.
Is that legal? It seems like so. Let's say that there's let's just say there's a mysterious billionaire. All right, fill in the blank. There's a mysterious billionaire that comes in and says, "I'm going to give you this private jet. I'm going to cover this jet." Is that legal? You can legally just stop the state of Texas from working if any billionaire wants to come in and pay for every Democrat to leave?
You ask a complicated question that's never been asked, or we've never dealt with a billionaire coming in and offering up his plane to fly Democrats out of their responsibility in Texas for showing up and representing the constituents. So this is a new question that the courts may get very soon.
So there is constitutional protections against the members of the chamber fleeing the state. It looks like that's going to be executed by the governor. You were out almost instantly saying this is not going to be allowed. Can you talk me through the mechanics of that? Are you going to send the Texas Rangers to go get him? Are you going to call up Chuck Norris, give him his badge back?
I like Chuck Norris idea. I love the Chuck Norris idea. We've been through this before. When I was in the House in 2003, the Democrats took off, and what Rick Perry did was we tried to arrest him. They went out of state where the Texas Rangers did not have jurisdiction, and they typically will go to a Democratic state where they get no cooperation. So we've been through that process, and so what Rick Perry did at the time was continue to call them back. Ultimately, it's hard to live out of Texas forever, and so we went all the way to October. So we started in July, or actually June, and he kept calling special sessions for 5 months until the Democrats finally had to come back. So what I think should have been done could have avoided all of this if I think the speaker could have just locked the doors while they were here, and we wouldn't be going through this now. He could have locked the doors. That's what happened to us eventually, is the doors were locked. The speaker locked the doors, and we could not leave. Once you were in there, you were there for days until we voted on what we needed to vote on, which was redistricting.
What will be the consequence? Now the governor is out saying we have your tweet up on screen right now, saying that this is clearly patently illegal. The governor is out naming. Can you find me what is the statute that the governor named? Yes,
Quo warranto.
Yeah, he's naming a specific statute there. KP 108.
That's me. He's naming an opinion that we wrote a couple of years ago when this happened. I think it was in 2021, and we had there are two parts of this. We actually went to the Supreme Court. It went all the way to the Texas Supreme Court, and we got a ruling that said that Texas can arrest members of the House or Senate who are basically leaving their responsibility during a session. So we got a ruling because we had a lower court ruling saying just the opposite. And the Texas Supreme Court clearly says we can't arrest these people. So the challenge is, do we have jurisdiction in these other states? That becomes the biggest challenge. Until they show themselves back up in Texas, sometimes it's hard to actually execute on that. The quo warranto is a new theory that we haven't really pursued. It's a new idea. We've kind of discussed it in this legal opinion, but it's never been tested. So it's certainly something my office is looking at now as a possibility going forward.
So can you please unpack that? Can you please unpack that again? Forgive me for my non-familiarity with some of these Texas Supreme Court rulings and or constitutional issues, but could you please educate us? How would you go into Chicago to Pritzker's? Clearly they're at like a Hyatt somewhere, right? And so how would you go and compel them to return?
So it actually is the speaker, the Texas speaker of the Texas House it's the sergeant at arms has the authority to go arrest. However, that sergeant of arms can deputize. So he can deputize Texas State Police, the Texas Rangers, whoever he wants to deputize to go find these people. If they find them in Chicago, they would have to get the cooperation of local authorities there in order to arrest them there.
Okay.
That's one reason they choose Democratic states, because it becomes very difficult to execute on these arrests when we can't get the cooperation of other states.
What about vacating their seat? So that's what the governor made a lot of news with this morning, saying that you just won't have a seat then any longer, and it's my right to vacate your seat. Is it going to be arrest and bring them back, or is it going to be, okay, that's fine, you no longer serve in the legislature, you can enjoy your new life, as a Chicago Bears fan?
Yeah, no, it's we're looking at the option he put out there. That actually came out of the opinion that you read that we wrote a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. The challenge is that wouldn't necessarily be an immediate answer, right? We'd have to go through court process, and we'd have to file that maybe in districts that are not friendly to Republicans. So it's a challenge because every district would be different. We'd have to go sue in every legislator's home district to try to execute on that idea. Mm.
Okay, so what do you prescribe as you are the top law enforcement official in the state of Texas. What do you prescribe as the move forward, sir?
So I mean, my first move would have been to chain them to their desk and not let them out of the door. That would have been that was what I suggested earlier last week when they were here. Since that has been left on the table, that was the most, I think, the best chance of success, the fastest. The next is trying to arrest them, but that again is going to be a challenge. And I think the governor is going to be forced into calling several special sessions. Eventually, they're going to have to come back. There's no doubt they'll come back. They have to. They have jobs, they have lives, they have families. They're not going to live in Chicago, especially when it starts getting cold. I'm telling you, that's worked. And every time that they've taken off, we have successfully gotten what we needed done. This other idea that was proposed by the governor, the challenge with that is, one, we're not sure if it works. We're going to try to figure that out. But two, it will not be an immediate resolution, because if we go to court, that takes time. We get appeals. It'll go up to the Texas Supreme Court. It's just not an immediate process. So, now that they've let them out of the state, it's going to take a little longer. But I'm very optimistic. If the governor, and I believe the governor will have resolve, if he keeps calling them back, it's going to be a challenge for all 51 of them to stay out of the state for the rest of their lives.
Yeah, stay out of their state, and then could they have maybe chosen a state that perhaps isn't as heinously gerrymandered as Illinois? We have the congressional map up here. Illinois looks like a severely handicapped person who's having a seizure, drew the congressional lines. And it is inarguably the most gerrymandered state in America, Mr. Attorney General. And they happen to be in Chicago, which you can perhaps it's impossible to see on your screen, but we're showing it right now, is inarguably the single most gerrymandered city in America. Democrats most likely have created out of whole cloth 10 new congressional seats just by their fraudulence in Chicago. Did they think through this, Mr. Attorney General? It's a very bad look.
They're very good at not thinking through these things. They love to talk about their issues, but then they never think about the hypocrisy of going to a state that is the most gerrymandered state in the country. So, I mean, this is what happened when they, on the deportation issue, when all of these illegals ended up in, Martha's Vineyard, and they only got to stay for 48 hours, and suddenly it was a bad idea to have illegals in a place like Martha's Vineyard. So, yeah, this is another example of just hypocrisy at its highest level.
So you're saying to our audience, and I think this is what most people are going to want to know, you're going to say that that Republicans are not going to back down here. Trump and the Republicans in Texas are going to get an equitable map that has been drawn that looks so much better than the Illinois map, which outperforms Democrat districts by 30 points. So Illinois votes 52-48 for Trump versus Kamala in the last election, yet 82% of their congressional delegation is Democrat. So that's a 30-point gerrymandered gift to Nancy Pelosi and Hakeem Jeffries. Texas is pretty much even, actually. Your new map is even. We have it up on screen right now, where it's kind of like it's like a slight Republican advantage, but Republicans have a slight advantage in the state of Texas.
We have Trump won by 14 points. So under your analysis, our map should be all crazy, right? That map looks pretty normal,
yes,
relative to Illinois. But you're saying there was a 4-point margin in the last election for Illinois. Trump won by almost 14 points in Texas. So presumably, we should have 95% of ours Republican. And if we went on the Illinois model, it would be the Democrats. Right. That's why the hypocrisy is pretty overwhelming.
That's exactly right. Final question to you. This went viral this weekend. Jasmine Crockett is out complaining very, very loudly, making herself the spokesperson for this, saying that now she's going to be forced to run, because of this new map, she's going to be forced to run in a district that didn't go 90% for Kamala Harris. I think part of the reason why she has rocketed to fame is that she's able to have absolute security in her South Dallas district that has been drawn to ensure that is a Democrat seat forever. I just want to get your response to Jasmine Crockett, who also called the president, I'm sorry, and I'm quoting here, a piece of shit this weekend.
Oh my gosh, she's a piece of work herself. She is very much a leftist, and I'm not surprised by anything that Jasmine Crockett says. And you're right, she's so safe in that district, with it being so liberal that she can pretty much get away with saying anything. So she loves that security, and wants to stay in a very, very safe district.
Yeah, she said our numbers fell when Texas enacted the election security. So that's a massive endorsement for you, sir. Like, well done.
Well,
Our numbers fell when voter ID was mandated in Texas.
there's no doubt about it that photo ID and voter ID actually works. And if you look at the states that have photo ID, you'll notice that Trump, I think, won every single one of those. Yep. The states that don't have photo ID, he didn't do well.
All right. Yeah. Well, we can only guess as to why that would be, Mr. Attorney General. We thank you very much for joining our program and for giving a little bit of a resolve and a kick in the shins here. Hopefully, the Texas Republicans remember what it's like to be Texas again, and remember the Alamo and so on. A lot of Texas.
Let me just say this: we're going to win this. I have no doubt the governor will not back down. I've watched him do this before. He will not back down, and we will not back down. We'll fight the legal fight, but I guarantee you we're going to win this.
Yeah, and I hope that you look into who's paying for these $100,000 private jet flights, because those are expensive.
We will know that as well.
It seems like bribery to me.
Possibility.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Attorney General. The count is on screen right here. 500,000 followers on X. Make sure that you're following Ken Paxton, an absolute and total warrior for the state of Texas. Godspeed, sir.
Thank you. Have a great day.